Hello, sports fans. Welcome to Howard on Sports. My name is Howard. And today, I want to talk about the most ridiculous name of any professional sports team, and that is the Utah Jazz. Because when I think of Jazz, Utah is not the first place that comes to mind. Now, for anyone who's been around for a while, they would know that many years ago, there was a team called the New Orleans Jazz, and they ended up moving to Utah. Now, New Orleans Jazz makes perfect sense. But when they moved to Utah, for some reason, they never changed the name. They just kept Jazz. And I'm not saying you can't appreciate jazz if you live in Utah, or I'm sure there's some small jazz club in Utah, but come on. New Orleans Jazz, yes. Utah Jazz, no. But yet, our brains are used to hearing that, you know? So it's sort of, over time, I guess it does make sense now. The Utah Jazz have a history, obviously, particularly the era with Karl Malone and John Stockton. But it never should have been called that. I don't know what they should have called it, but they should have changed the name to something else. To complicate matters, of course, several years ago, they awarded New Orleans a new franchise, and they call it the New Orleans Pelicans. And I think that's kind of a goofy sounding name as well. So, in an ideal world, it would have remained the New Orleans Jazz and Utah something else, but that's not what happened. So it's interesting how names evolve and the reasons why they are what they are. Just a quick example, in addition to the one I just gave, the Dodgers, who started in Brooklyn, of course, my understanding is they got the name Brooklyn Dodgers because people used to dodge the trolley cars that they had in Brooklyn, which they no longer have, right? Of course, everything is subway. But back then, they had trolley cars on the street and people would dodge out of the way, and that's why they were the Dodgers. The Los Angeles Dodgers makes no sense, but they have a history now, so I guess it does make sense. Also in LA, the LA Lakers, they used to be the Minneapolis Lakers. And Minnesota, where Minneapolis is a city, Minnesota is known as the land of 1,000 lakes. So they were called the Lakers. Los Angeles is not known for lakes, but Los Angeles Lakers, I guess because, LL, it's sort of, it's catchy. It rolls off the tongue, LA Lakers. And of course, the LA Lakers have quite a great history in the NBA, but it really kind of makes no sense. So these things happen, but out of any example, the Utah Jazz is the most glaring example of a name that just doesn't make any sense.